Hello, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to everyone joining individually or gathered in groups across the US and Canada. My name is Pernille, and I'm the Henkel president in North America. And I hope that you, just like me, enjoyed this opening video. I think it's a very nice sign of how proud we are of everything going on and everything we accomplish in this region. And I can tell you that coming into this region approximately a year ago, it was very clear to me how special the region is in a Henkel context. And I can mention just two things. One is this region represents 28% of the NES that we, or the sales that we made last year in the full Henkel organization. So that's one thing. It's a big part of our business. The other part is that we have a very, very strong setup around how we work, for instance, in our ERGs, our employee resource groups, making our culture and the way we collaborate different here in North America. We have our ERGs participating strongly in how we engage with each other, how we help each other understand our differences and create belonging for our teams across our countries in North America. So thank you for that. Some highlights since our last town hall, which was in December last year. HCB has completed its first year as an integrated business in 2023, and now focusing on strong margins and high growth potential. In HAT, so the adhesive technology side of the business, we acquired Critica Infrastructure and Seal for Life. And I know that some of our new colleagues from Critica are joining this town hall, and I want to say a special welcome to the team, to you. Today, we will learn more about the achievements from each of the businesses in Q1 and also what we have in store for Q2. What you will see today is a fully remote ExCom. We have Stefan, our head of HCB Professional, Martijn, who is our head of finance, Valeria, head of HR, Bob, legal, and Jenny from corporate communications. And myself. Unfortunately, Phil, who's heading up our HCB retail, could not make it today. Lucky for us, he made a pre-recorded video that we will squeeze in when it's his time to speak. He makes his excuses and he's very sad not to be here today. So, as a small warm-up, and maybe you saw it on the screen when you first entered the town hall, we would like to do a small poll. So we would like to ask you what your favorite Henkel product is, and you can use Slido for that. And I don't know if some, there it is. All right, good. So you already participated. And of course, very, very nice to see that you all are keen Henkel product fans and quite diversified across our different businesses and different product ranges. That's really, really nice to see. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you for using our own products. They are indeed great. So, and back to Slido, you already know how to use it, but let me just go through that one more time. So, first of all, we want these town halls, virtual as they are, to be as two-way dialogue as possible. So, hopefully, you will engage in the conversation and ask us questions throughout the town hall. We will answer as many as we can at the end of the town hall. And we strongly encourage you to enter your name so that we know who is asking, and also that we have an open and transparent communication throughout the town hall. So what you need to do is you scan the QR code and enter the information into, you can use your mobile or your web browser. And then, as I said, please ask anything throughout the town hall. Also vote if there are questions that you find in particular important to you, and we will try to answer as many as possible. The agenda for today. So first of all, I want to say that the ExCom you saw on the screen just before, it came together as a leadership team only a year ago. And the ExCom has worked together in order to drive a joint agenda for the region. We believe that we have made strides and we'd like to share some of those with you today. So we will share the regional progress. We have identified focus areas for 2024 and beyond. And after that, Martijn will give us an update on the numbers. Valeria will take us through the latest initiative under the heading of Accelerating Cultural Transformation. And finally, the Q&A. We will make sure that there's ample time for that. And for the 2024 focus areas, we have categorized our focus areas for the North American ExCom in 3 categories: culture, connection, and compliance. And culture is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's about people development. And at the end of the day, it's about us wanting to be the employer of choice. We picked out a few examples of what we have done or are doing under each of these headlines. And of course, if you're curious to know more, you please just ask, and we will try to answer. So one thing that we have done is that we started working with diverse slates of candidates and panels when we do our recruitments, and we are already now getting very good feedback, both from the hiring managers, but also the interviewers for these interviews for new colleagues coming on board. We've also worked to make open jobs more visible across the region. We started, maybe you've seen them, emails coming out on the open jobs that we have in the region. We started that in March in order to promote internal career opportunities, not only within the part of the organization that you might know better, but across our businesses and our different functions. We also have smart work in North America. We adhere to the global guidelines that we launched in 2021. There's a framework where we, as a company across the globe, believe in the power of smart work. So the guidelines are 60% on-site, 40% remote. And this is for shaping a culture of collaboration, fostering innovation, knowledge sharing, and creating a place of community, while also addressing the need for flexibility and better work-life balance. The next pillar is compliance, the mid pillar. And here we have worked on upgrading our ethics hotline to make it easier to get insights, listen to, and respond to compliance concerns. And this is also my opportunity to say to all of you, if you do have compliance concerns, please raise them, and please use our ethics hotline if that's the route you want to go. That's at least very much there for you to raise any concerns you might have. There are different ways of raising your concerns, but the ethics hotline is for sure one of them. We also launched our compliance training on acting responsibly with generative AI. And this is, we did that in May. Deadlines are coming up next week. So for those of you who haven't finalized, please do. I have done mine. It's a highly engaging training. It highlights the risks and appropriate behavior in the light of technology, the technology development that we are seeing. So very relevant for all of us. The last pillar is connection. And here it's very much about communication, collaboration, and of course reputation. So how we come across internally and externally, and how we behave with each other and communicate with each other. So here the ExCom is very focused on establishing and continuing a two-way communication with all of you. Town halls like these is one part of it, and that's why I put emphasis on the Q&A, that we would like to hear from you throughout the town hall and answer your questions at the end. We also provide different info mails about the important company commitments and also latest news on what we're doing. It could be sustainability, it could be the HR newsletter that you're receiving, and other topics like these. And then finally, we do all try to meet as many of you as we can when we're traveling, sit down, listen to how your work is going, if you have any concerns or you see any opportunities for us. We believe that this two-way communication will make us all a little bit wiser, that we listen to each other and learn from those conversations. In terms of reputation, Henkel is per se, so the Henkel brand per se is not a very well-known brand in the US. Sometimes if you say Henkel, people will think that you work with other things than what we're working at. However, we are a highly trusted company when it comes to our key stakeholders. And research showed that we are more trusted than some of our peers as well. Stakeholders trust us because of our products, our services, and we are seen as a great place to work with a strong focus on diversity. And we have also seen that with increasing attention in the press, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, and we are continuing to monitoring how we best work with our communication, both internally and externally. So let us go to the next slide. Purposeful growth. I came from our regional focus areas, and I hope you all recognize this slide, which is our global purposeful growth strategy that guides all of the different strategies and focus areas we have across the company. And today you will hear about the tangible progress that we're making within this strategy in our different business areas, and how we are working to develop our global organization and work together, and together create a better future. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Martijn to give us an overview of the global Q1 performance and factors driving our regional performance.
Yes, thanks, Pernille, and also, of course, a big welcome from my side. I know Q1 sounds a long time ago, right? I know we are today in June, but still think we didn't have an opportunity yet to talk about this. As a reminder, for Q1, we only publish sales results, right? So we don't have a full P&L, so we focus today on sales. So if you look to the quarter on itself, it was a plus 3% organic growth. And of course, also happy to see that this was broadly based by 2 BUs, right? So we had 1% organic growth in adhesives, and we also had 5% in consumer brands. And of course, as a reminder, if you look back to last year, so adhesives had plus 3% full year, HCB had plus 6%, right? So overall, of course, you see that we are continuing on a global level on the path that we started last year. I think what was particularly good to see was actually the volume development, because you might remember that last year we had a continuous decline of volumes, and now we are seeing in adhesives we are just flat, and HCB we are close to flat, right? So you also see that in terms of volume growth, we are also getting back to growth. So we are clawing back the volume losses that we had. So that's, of course, from a total company perspective, extremely important. You might also recall that the figures were published a couple of days earlier than we intended to do. And this had very much to do with the last bullet point on the slide where you see the outlook, right? So due to the performance of Q1, but also more important, the performance and the outlook going forward, we could manage to increase the EPS guidance. And this is, of course, also reflected then directly in the share price, right? So you might have realized that on the day that we went out, the jump in share price was something that we didn't see for a long time. So I think that was, of course, very well perceived. And this also ties into our equity story, right? So that there was a bit of mistrust maybe in the company. Can we deliver what we said? Can we deliver our targets? And of course, this was a great strength of confidence that we showed in Q1, but also by raising the outlook. One final topic, and of course, extremely important also for North America. So we closed the attractive acquisitions, right? So you might remember Critica last year, but we also closed Seal for Life. And of course, also a big thank you for all the people involved in this. And from a global perspective, we did another significant acquisition, which was Vidal Sassoon in China. And of course, this basically doubled our HCB footprint in China. Of course, also for us, a very important market. If you look then beyond that, and you look from a regional perspective, where we are today, you see that the growth was basically driven by Europe, EMEA, and Asia, right? And this is always Q1. And as a reminder, I was particularly happy to see that Europe was the second consecutive quarter of organic growth, right? We were struggling for quite a long time in Europe, but this is now, this looks much better. Particularly, of course, also driven by both businesses. I think also very important to know, EMEA, continuous double-digit growth, of course, supported by inflation environment. Also important to realize. And if you look for a second to APAC, so there we saw strong growth, so plus 3.5%, and particularly driven by the electronics and adhesives. So there we saw a very good performance. If you then look to our side of the ocean, you see Latin America was down, but you have to remember that Latin America came from a very high base, right? So they came from a plus 12% last year. And of course, it gets much more difficult to match that figure. And also the second quarter looks already much better. If you look to North America, minus 3%, obviously not where we want to be, right? That's absolutely clear. But we have to keep one thing into mind, is that we have had over the last 10 quarters, we had 8 quarters of organic growth. Right? Of course, we are not happy with minus 3%, and I come in a second also a bit more to the drivers. But in the overall scheme of things, of course, we were on a very successful track. And if you then look forward for a second to the second quarter, so if you take April and you take May together, we are slightly positive as well, right? So if we push in a good June, I'm more than happy to see also then in the second quarter, when we publish the results in August, that we see for the second quarter again an organic growth for North America. If you move then a bit to the drivers, right, and I will stay on a certain level here, and then afterwards, of course, I'll also give the word to Pernille. But if you see what was driving our growth in Q1 from a BU perspective, you would see that this, of course, came on the one end, we closed the acquisitions, and I think we can already move to the next slide. On the one end, of course, we closed the acquisitions, right? Seal for Life, like I said, very important, around the 200 million of sales. Of course, we still have a big carryover from pricing, right? And we also saw this coming together for both businesses with a decrease in cost of goods. So that's also what we see, and this is valid for both businesses, is that we see a very strong GP1 performance, right? As I said, we don't publish this externally, but the GP1 performance and subsequently also then the line 17 investments, marketing investments, are still at an all-time high. We saw a strong volume development in North America, right? Particularly in electronics and automotive. I mean, very happy to see this, right? We are coming from a very difficult environment. We are now moving to positive territory again, very important. And of course, we continuously look to the portfolio to see, do we play in the right place, right? Do we play in the markets which are attractive? Do we play in the markets where we think we can win? But that's, of course, something that we continuously do. Not only in adhesives, right? Also a big thing done already in consumer brands. And of course, this is also an ongoing journey where probably you always come back to the point that you say, today this works and tomorrow maybe we have to do something else. So that's why the continuous portfolio review is, of course, something that is for us to make sure that we stay competitive, to make sure that we have the right offer to our customers and consumers, to make sure that we also have the right margin mix, right? To make sure that we can invest in our brands. So I think that's very important. If you look for a second to consumer brands, you also saw that Q1 for professional was actually excellent, right? And we had a plus 5% organic growth, which was, of course, a very good start into the year. A bit more difficult in consumer. There we also are still cutting the tail, so we are still making portfolio measures, which of course then also led to the fact that we are losing some volumes. Again, what we see also in adhesives, right? So positive pricing carryover, extremely important, right? And again, this leads into the strong margin. What is of course also for us very important is that we are over proportionally growing in the e-commerce channel. And this is what we see across all businesses, right? And of course, this will not replace the traditional channel, right? Don't get me wrong. But of course, it's important that this is also one of our big drivers that we see not only in Q1, but also going forward for 2024. Having said that, I think now will come a bit more details. Pernille, I give the word back to you.
Thank you very much. And I will now put on a different hat, which is the head of HAT North America. And talk to you about what we've been doing in Henkel Adhesive Technologies. So first of all, I would like to talk about winning portfolio. That's part of our purposeful growth. And I'd like to talk about the two recent acquisitions that have been done, Critica Infrastructure and Seal for Life. So during our last town hall, I spoke about the Critica Infrastructure acquisition, and today we can add the Seal for Life Industries acquisition to the portfolio. So basically, this is about strengthening our maintenance, repair, and overhaul business by adding competences to our current business. So we add repair and overhaul competences to our existing portfolio. The maintenance, repair, and overhaul market fits our strategic priorities. It's about extending the lifetime of infrastructure and machinery and plays into our agenda on sustainability. And at the same time, this is a growing and very profitable market for us. So how does it fit? So while our own core Loctite business is focused on maintenance. We're now adding critical infrastructure to focus on repair, and Seal for Life to focus on overhauls. And Seal for Life, which is the newest member of the team, it's a supplier of protected coatings and sealings solutions for infrastructure markets. It's headquartered in Houston, 7 locations in the US and Canada, and more than 600 new colleagues coming on board with that acquisition. And again, welcome to Henkel to everyone. If we go to the next slide, sustainability is a key part of our purposeful growth as well, and we drive it in Henkel Adhesive Technology as part of our competitive edge. A month ago, we held our first Henkel Adhesive Technology Sustainability Day in North America. We held it in order to have conversations with and inspire our customers to collaborate, not only with us, but along the value chain in order to find solutions to sustainability challenges, but also to go after the opportunities that sustainability pose for our business. We had more than 90 customers across our different divisions attending the day in Bridgewater in New Jersey. We had external keynote speakers. We had internal experts dazzling our participants, which was really nice to see. And we had a wide range of customers on site, reflecting the diversity of the adhesive technologies business, which caters to around 800 different industries. So we had a broad range of different industries present there. As part of the event, we also highlighted the recent partnership with Kraton, which is one of the suppliers in adhesive technologies, where we partnered with them in order to replace fossil-based tackifiers with bio-based tackifiers in our hot melt formulations in order to drive lower carbon emission products into some of our core markets. If we go to the last of my 3 slides, what you see here are the 7 midterm priorities that we outlined for the entire Henkel Adhesive Technologies business across the globe. Also very valid in North America, of course. And Martijn already talked about our Q1 performance. So strong volume development, pricing also contributes to our organic sales growth. And we continue to focus on our portfolio and how we optimize it for top and bottom line in the long run. I want to give you a few examples. I'm not going to go through the 7 midterm priorities. If you're curious, please ask. But I just want to highlight a few. Operations and supply chain is one of our 7 priorities. Safety remains a key focus for us again this year. It is always, and it is across the business, not only in HAT. And I want to thank you all for the participation during the World Safety Day, highlighting safety as a lifestyle. So not only when you're at work, but also when you move between work and your home and at home. And also there's a continued effort across our businesses, our business units to decarbonize our operations in North America, which is a very important program and with great achievements already done. On sustainability, on that topic, sustainability is also one of the 7 midterm priorities. We will keep the momentum, of course, from the customer event I just spoke about, and make sure that we drive follow-up activities with all of the customers who were there. And we are initiating new initiatives such as Design for Sustainability, which is really based on the thinking that 80% of the carbon emissions of a product is defined in the design stage. So if we as adhesive technologies can be part of that and help our customers design in a more adequate way, then we would love to be part of that. So we drive initiatives like that. And then finally, people and culture, not least, but last on my short list of these 7 priorities, the North America, or actually in HAT, it's Dynamics leadership team. We exchange on our open positions, we exchange on our talent reviews, etc., and make sure that we can enable a change of talents across our different business units. And of course, I want to mention the ERGs as well. Strong support for our ERGs also in the HAT business, and Thank you very much for driving our culture of understanding and belonging. And with that, I turn it over to a virtual version of Phil, who, as I said before, cannot participate today, but we recorded his wise words, and I'm sure they will come now.
Through the magic of technology, I was able to pre-record our achievements for Henkel Consumer Brands in Q1. So let's look at the left-hand side. As you know, we are on this better before bigger journey, which means we need to heavily push our margin profile. And the team did an awesome job there. Our margins on Dial have improved by 14.5%. The All brand has improved its margin profile by 12.5%. Congrats to the teams working on those projects. And season is coming up. A lot of people hate those little buggers. We love them because we have just launched our 2-in-1 pods for the Combat brand. That innovation pipeline fill led into a market share increase by 1.3%. We are now a significant player in the space with over 4% of market share. How do we support all those amazing innovations in our core portfolio? Through brand building, through our line 17. We have invested over $82 million in brand building in Q1 alone. That's an increase by over $6 million over the quarter. How is that possible? Only through our amazing teams. We have now taken over 50 teams through our high-performing team training journey, and the feedback from the teams is very positive. All right, let's look at what the near future for Q2 holds for Henkel Consumer Brands. We are very excited that we were able to continue the engagement with Dr. Z. She is a true advocate for the brand and teaches us all that skincare starts in your laundry room. I would butcher her name, that's why I just call her Dr. Z, but we are truly grateful to have her. The Persil team is in the process of repositioning the brand. We want Persil to not only stand for great cleaning power, but now it also stands for fabric care. Watch this space. There's great commercial activations coming your way on Persil. Last but not least, unleashing the power of hair. We have pre-announced the launch of Keratin Platinum Blonde, and first results are very promising. You'll see the true impact in Q2. This is going to be the #1 product launch in the category, and we are the #1 advertiser in the category. So a true match made in heaven. Again, all this has only happened with our great people. And not only are they committed to our brands, but you'll see a lot of engagement with local communities and sustainability events in Q2 and quarters to come. Thank you for all the great work.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. He did very well, so we can always do it like this. So coming to Hair Professional now and achievements in Q1, as Martijn already mentioned, we were very pleased with the start of the year. This is really, truly good news. We were improving all our financial KPIs in terms of organic sales growth, but we are also very pleased with GP1 development, with EBIT, and also net working capital. A specific shout out to the Canadian business, which has been able to actually grow double-digit. This was all possible due to continued omni-channel development. So it's not only the e-com business, but also omni-channels means specialty retail is doing very well and is offsetting somehow the softness that we have experienced in other market segments. So it shows by making us less dependent on one or the other channel that this is paying out for us. Last but not least, in Q1, we were very, very pleased to have been able to do for the first time ever an all-in event with all employees across the US and also a large number of Canadian employees in Los Angeles. So it was a great opportunity actually to meet us all in person and to celebrate our Together We Win culture. This was a great opportunity actually to express our global strategy for hair, to also cascade then our regional strategy for the professional business in North America, and starting our upskilling journey, which is going to be something that we are going to go for in the next couple of years, not only quarters. So if we turn to the next chart, this is our agenda for the next couple of quarters to come. We, as a global business, but also regionally, want to become the authority in hair. We want to achieve significant strikes and improvements in our core categories, color, where we have already a very strong competency and market position, but we feel that we can further increase. Accelerating our premium care is our best opportunity to grasp future growth opportunities. We are, based on the newest data of client that we have available, we are the market leader in North America for styling products, and we want to truly lead the market segment as a market leader in styling. 4 key pillars that we are working on in order to become the authority in hair. One is to nurture our hair culture, which means to continue the upskilling efforts for our entire organization, and we want to become true experts, distincting us from our competition. Next, to further investigate and ensure a strong innovation pipeline to bring to our stylists and end consumers new products which will enable them to provide new services and grasp incremental market shares. We will continue our better and bigger story. So it's not only about now the better only, but we want to grow based on the much stronger profitability of our business and have a stronger focus on profitable growth momentum, and continuing our successful lead in terms of omni-channel capabilities. So I'm very much looking forward to the next couple of quarters, and am certain that we will see good future results of the Pro business. With this, I would like to hand over to Valeria.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you very much. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And let me continue with how we accelerate our cultural transformation. And the foundation of our purposeful growth agenda, as Pernille was sharing with us at the beginning, is what we strive for: a collaborative culture and empower teams. And this is why we continuously work on further shaping the Henkel culture together. So let's review what we have achieved in our cultural journey so far, and what is the focus for 2024. And we started in 2019 with successfully introduced our leadership commitments, defining how is our approach to leadership and collaboration. This was followed by the purposeful growth agenda in 2020, and then in 2021, our purpose, Pioneers at Heart for Good of Generations, was launched, and it is our North Star for both business and our cultural transformation. So we supported this with different culture shaping initiatives like smart work, DEI, sustainability, at Henkel level, business units, functions, or team, or even at individual level. So in last year, in 2023, we successfully launched the Global ACT initiative that you might remember, to accelerate our cultural transformation. And through the ACT team moments, thousands of colleagues globally engaged in reflecting on our purpose, leadership commitments, our values, and together we created a unifying and empowering moment for our teams. For this year, our management board has defined going deeper in our cultural journey on trust, collaboration, and feedback as key priorities for Henkel. So we identified feedback as our focus topic for the next chapter of ACT. We act on feedback. And definitely your voice matters, and we seek your feedback through tools such as the Acting Moment survey, the pulse checks that we have, different surveys that are going on, different listening moments that we have with you in person as well or virtually. And based on the results from those surveys, we have made trust, collaboration, and feedback one of our key priorities in 2024. A great feedback culture is definitely for personal and professional growth, and as well as business success. So with ACT 2024, we will focus on feedback and equip our organization with the right tools and skills to understand, give, and receive feedback. And it starts with us. And I would like to invite some of my ExCom colleagues to the virtual room. So Stefan, Pernille, Bob, to join me in a conversation on the importance of feedback. But before that, let's get some feedback. Let's go with Jenny.
Okay, good time to pause and listen to the organization on this topic of feedback. It is part of our ACT program this year, but wouldn't be good to start without getting some feedback from all of you on how we're doing so far. Grab your phone, scan the QR code, and look at the poll and help us out by answering this question. How would you rate our current practices as a feedback-driven culture? So how are we doing now? And the rating scale is 1 for low, 5 for high, and we're looking forward to your feedback. Okay, gives us something to talk about. So we're seeing the scores seeming to be right around average. So doing okay, probably in some areas, and some new areas to improve perhaps. And so the rest of the year ahead of us, focusing on feedback, will be hopefully helpful. We're looking forward to see how we poll after some progress. And I want to turn it back over to Valeria and some of my colleagues to offer, based on the poll or your other thoughts, a few more thoughts.
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you everyone for giving us the feedback on how you're seeing this at the moment. And definitely we have work to do, and we will start today by focusing on it. So I was saying earlier that a great feedback culture is essential for personal and professional growth as well as business success. And if we go to this last one in terms of business success, I would like to ask you, Stefan, why do you think that giving and receiving feedback is directly linked to our business success, or is key for being successful? Would you like to share?
Yeah, first of all, let me say that average is not good enough. We are an ambitious organization, and seeing your feedback, and we take it seriously, we listen to you, clearly indicates that there is more work to do. Feedback is super important for us, this kind of feedback via polls, but we will take this also on as an ExCom, now ongoing, to ensure that we make something out of your feedback and get better as a total organization. That's a commitment I think I can give on behalf of the entire ExCom here now. Why is it so important, and when actually do we have opportunities to improve the quality of feedback? We as an organization, we are living in a very volatile environment. It is a lot about spontaneous feedback. It's not waiting for a feedback session when it's timed by the HR department, when we have the APR session or ambition dialogues. It's making use of the moments that are there, the opportunities actually to utilize the on-the-moment feedback. And there is something where I do believe we can get better. I personally need to be better and become better, giving feedback spontaneously. When the situation arrives, when there is an opportunity to immediately give feedback on a concrete situation. This does not necessarily replace an organized and structured feedback, but I think it's super important that we use these opportunities to get a better understanding of receiving and giving feedback in the moment where actually the situation has occurred. I hope this answers part, at least, of your question, Valeria.
Yeah, thank you so much. And indeed, I fully agree with the on-moment feedback. It's very powerful to be at the moment sharing with a great intention, right, on the other to support, to share. And let me go now to you, Pernille. In what ways do you already incorporate feedback in your day-to-day business? We cannot hear it.
So that's good feedback. I can start by giving Stefan feedback. Thank you very much for your comment. It was clear on your purpose and also very specific on what you wanted to do, and I enjoyed that. So thank you very much for that. That's one way of giving feedback in the moment. There are many ways to give each other feedback, and some of the ways that I'm doing it, to me, it's very much about listening and internalizing what you hear and learning from it when you receive feedback. So I try to do a lot of that, to listen to what's going on in the organization. The Q&A that we're doing during this town hall is one way of listening to what's going on in the organization, sitting down and having open conversations with the team members whenever we go to different sites. It's also a way of listening and internalizing feedback. But of course, there's also other ways that we use at the end of the meetings, ask for feedback, what worked well, what didn't work well. It's about asking for feedback after this town hall, for instance. You will all receive a link. How did we do? What can we do more of? What can we do less of? And then I think there's an important part about feedback, which is that feedback, Stefan talked about HR. Feedback is not about HR, and it's not about always getting feedback from your manager, for instance. It's very much about engaging with the people you collaborate with and ask them for feedback as well. How did I do? What can I do better? What worked? What didn't work? So that's a way of doing it where it's less formal, maybe more just a part of ordinary, everyday, today life.
Thank you, Pernille. And for that, we need to be very proactive as individuals by asking that directly, right? So not waiting until someone is coming us to tell how we are doing for supporting our performance, but also, so hey, how was it? How was my presentation? I usually do this also after the town hall. Hey, anything to improve? Thank you for sharing. And Bob, now with you, how can you still improve when it comes to feedback?
Yeah, thanks, Valeria. Frankly, in a lot of areas. Feedback for me, I'm very much on a journey. And most of our journeys when it comes to feedback starts when we grew up in the house. And what happened when I was a kid, you know, it was very much a focus on what could be improved. So if I came home with a 95 on a math quiz, my mom would say, hey, that's great. Which one did you get wrong? And that particular sort of approach to feedback, I've carried with me. So I would love to be as spontaneous as Stefan talks about, but if I'm spontaneous, that type of feedback or that approach to feedback comes out, and it's not always the best. In fact, rarely is it the best way to give feedback. So I've been fairly intentional in 3 areas, kind of the where, the when, and the how, and been pretty good with the where, right? If there's going to be some level of more critical feedback, to do that in private, to the extent it's positive. Private's good, but public's also really good. And I'm really sort of impressed with the value of walking feedback because people are walking at the same time. It's less formal and people aren't looking at each other in the face. So it seems a little bit more fluid. As far as the timing, I'm getting better at this, made some progress, but even a couple weeks ago, stumbled a bit. And timing is basically, is this a good time for the other person? Are they mentally kind of ready? Is this a good time for me? Am I mentally and emotionally ready? And do we have enough time to do that? And then last but not least, and probably the most important, probably the place I struggle the most is the how. And I think we all operate on a certain level of feedback that's best for us. It's almost a blend, like a certain type of gasoline or unleaded, super unleaded, that type of thing. And there's a balance between positive and there's a balance between critical, and it's different for each person. And finding out what the best balance is for the folks that I'm talking with and then adjusting to that balance is something I'm very much still working on. And it's a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, unfortunately for me. So thanks for the question. And actually, Valeria, maybe I'd turn it back to you a little bit. What do you feel is sort of really challenging about giving and receiving feedback?
Well, thank you. And you know, when you were talking, I was definitely connecting what you just said about the challenges on the how. I would say that I think the most challenging thing for me when I receive feedback is to actively listen. Years ago, and still sometimes today, I tend to immediately respond. So try to give some answer justifying. And at the end, this was limiting my capacity to active listening and really understand, okay, what it's there. So what are my opportunities here? What are the things that I can learn from this process instead of just, you know, responding and pretending that everything is fine. So I think this was one of my main challenges. And on giving feedback, I agree with you, that was more finding the moment, the right moment for the other person, especially due to the agenda. It's not always you have the chance to go right after. And finding then the right moment for giving this feedback, it's one of the ones that I can mention. So, but definitely much more than just this couple. But thank you, all of you, unfortunately, for time reasons. I would love to continue asking you a lot of questions about how you do leave feedback on a regular basis and what is this for you and how it's helping. But we recognize, and we saw in the survey, we have an opportunity to strengthen or supercharge our feedback skills in a manner that benefit all of us, our teams, us as Henkel. So let's build upon the success of our ACT team moments from 2023, and let's go into what is coming with 2024. So here you have how the ACT team moment would look like. I will not go into the details, but here you can see that we're expecting about 1.5 hours. So it could be more, could be less, depending on the needs that you might have or the things that you want to discuss. A toolkit will come with all the information about how to drive this on a detailed basis. You will have videos, you will have opening discussion, opening activities, you will have moment for discussions and for also the takeaways. The important thing here is that you invest this time and take the best out of it. If we move to the following slide, here is what it's, where do you find all the materials? So you will see soon information coming to your email box, one more, but also on the portal with more information about how to run all of the ACT moments. And additionally, all the materials for the team moment session will be also available in a cultural hub. So by just typing culture in the browser of Henkel, you will get there and you can find some information already there. Our request is that you complete your team moment session between July, where all the materials will be there, and October this year. Okay, this material is for salaried employees, for office employees, and we will have more materials to come on how to drive this different team moment session, also for our manufacturing sites with our hourly employees. So more to come, very important, very relevant, and all coming very, very soon. So enjoy this opportunity and take the time to connect with your teams and discovering the power of feedback. So now let's go back to Pernille with the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Valeria, and thank you very much for all the questions, and also to those of you who put in your name, thanks a lot. And here again, if you forgot, this is how you ask questions via Slido, and while you look at that, I will start with the first question, which is, what has the North American ExCom team learned from exit interviews, and what from those learnings have been applied to support morale and improve internal operations? And Valeria, I will hand that question to you.
Okay, thank you, Cornelia. So we've received different feedbacks coming from the exit interviews and also the reasons of people leaving, I would say. We have as one of the top ones in reasons personal situation, which varies from different individual situations, people moving, going into another country, another site, following the partner, or needing to step out. So there are different things going on, and this is one of the main reasons of leaving. And coming from that, so it's how usually they value the flexibility that we have. And I think this is important in terms of being flexible, understanding personal situations, but sometimes so we cannot manage all. So this is a positive one that I would say. On the other side, development it's another big one. In terms of reasons for people leaving, not necessarily finding the space for keep developing. And I think the initiatives that we're having as ExCom of cross-fostering development opportunities, sharing openly the vacancies that we have. Now we're going to start with talent sharing across the ExCom. So discussing what further opportunities we can find among our different teams, projects to come, things in terms of succession. So definitely we have opportunities that we want to tackle and for sure much more.
Thank you very much, Valeria. The next question is related to the smart work. It seems being in office is more about optics for upper management and not about collaboration. How do we prioritize collaboration instead of micromanagement? And Stefan, maybe you can help us answer that question.
That's a very good question. And I personally think and believe that we are not a company and we are not an ExCom who is enforcing micromanagement. We are not clocking your presence in the office place. This has never been our intent. However, we absolutely do believe that working together, seeing each other, having meetings in person, create a different, more intense work environment. We increase efficiencies, we are smarter, more creative, I think, when we meet in person, and we want to make sure that these are moments that we carry forward. And these moments should be with the entire organization and not only parts of it. So we do not want to micromanage as a key message. However, we think that the physical presence in office and a very generous arrangement in regards to remote from home work is the best model. We believe in hybrid smart work arrangement and will continue doing so.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And Valeria, the next question, why do we continue to act in silos when it comes to promotions and org changes? And why don't we put all announcements on a website or SharePoint so all can see them?
Thank you for that question. At the moment, we are just publishing, so just I think up to level 3 announcements in the hubs. They're public, and I could probably invite also Jenny to speak about that. But when we see the quantity of emails coming and not everything is related to the space where we are working, or we don't know even some of the people that are, working in another department in that. So this is a bit of why we are not sharing communications on organizational changes for lower levels, but yeah, open also to that. This is at least my view.
All right, thank you very much, Valeria. So there's a question about HCB retail, and as Phil is not here, thank you very much for the questions on HCB. I will skip them and we will make sure to answer them afterwards. We will figure out a way to have Phil answer the questions. So I will skip them. It's not because I haven't seen them. And then I will go to Brian. Thank you, Brian, for putting in your name. Could we consider hosting some company stores at our sites in the future? And for that one, I can answer, and then if anyone wants to add. So you might know, I see at least there's some comments on it on our online store for the products that Stefan represents, which I hope that you enjoy. And here is a question about having physical stores. Right now, the complexity of our setup, we are in, I don't know if you noticed in the video, we are in 65 plus locations across North America, would make it probably very difficult to set up physical stores. So right now we decided to go with the online one that, as I said, I hope that you're all enjoying. Stefan, I don't know if you have any further comments on this one.
Yeah, I would need to double check the numbers, but if I'm not mistaken, we have more than 2,000 employees which have already signed up for Salonary, which is a great number. And hopefully I'm not totally off here, but this is the number I recall, which is great. So at least this is an opportunity for you to discover professional products. And we are, of course, looking also into, together with Phil and others, is there a way to expand the product assortment to other product categories? So stay tuned.
Very good. Thank you very much, Stefan. There's one more question about 60/40 hybrid work, and Valeria, maybe you answer that one. It was mentioned as an organizational-wide requirement. Why are some teams forced to adhere to the policy while others barely come to the office?
And I would say this is a manager responsibility to make sure that we all are part of Henkel and one Henkel. We might have, and this is within also the smart work framework, that we might have some individual cases, specific situations, and this is part of the flexibility that I was mentioned before, that it's also part of smart work. But definitely it's a manager responsibility to make sure that the organization or their team is clear on this why.
Very good. Thank you very much. The next question is, given the unique implications of DEI in the US, do you have any concerns about the composition of the ExCom being primarily, sorry about that, white Europeans, not native speakers, as well, as you could just hear? First of all, I want to say that we are very observant of DEI and in particular the diversity of the region that we are in, and we are very focused on making sure that we create a diverse workforce in Henkel in North America, and that we enable everyone to develop in the company and take new positions, learn new things in the company, as well as promoting them to leadership positions. So that is for sure part of what we want to do, and it has a very high level of focus within the entire North America ExCom. And Valeria, if you want to add anything, you can emphasize, of course, if there's anything I forgot.
No, I think you said it. What I can say is that we are evolving also as ExCom in terms of diversity, and we have not a full diverse team. We cannot have it all, but definitely we are having even more diversity than previous years in terms of that, in terms of gender. That was not necessarily the case, although it's not the only one, but also different backgrounds. Different nationalities, so different point of view, different ways of being, which is also what is adding to the diversity piece big flavor.
Thank you very much, Valeria. The next question is, and I might need a little bit of different input here because I think that could actually be a good way of addressing this. So maybe Stefan, Martijn, Bob, Jenny, you chip in. A lot, almost all of what we talk about is positive. What opportunities or issues are we facing? It's important to have a clear picture of the organization, which is, of course, a fair question. And I representing different functions and different businesses, and of course Phil is not here. We probably have a little bit of a different spin on these things or different flavors on these things. Stefan, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can try at least to bring up a couple of things. I spoke already about the volatility in the marketplace, and the volatility will remain as a key part in our next couple of quarters and years, with still post-COVID changes and an acceleration of new expectation. So challenges that I currently face within my organization and team is a lot of pressure from my customers in regards to our pricing, with expectation to increase their terms. This is a key concern for us. We see still challenges in regards to volume development, further optimizing our product portfolio. So there is a lot of challenges on our way, but at the same time, I feel that as an organization, we are very well prepared, because not all of these challenges are new ones, and we have some best practices on how to resolve the challenges that we are facing. And I feel very confident in the capability of our organization to address those challenges.
Very good. Martijn, anything to add?
Yes, I think, of course, there is a lot of things to be positive about, right? I mean, also to be very clear. And I think it's also important sometimes to step back and reflect on the things which are actually very good. And this is also what we do, of course, in this town hall. Don't forget one of the first slides I showed, right? I mean, we looked to the Q1 results, and there we saw North America minus 3%. I also mentioned, right, it's not the place where we want to be. So if you ask me, what is the thing that really keeps me up at night? It's that part, right? It's also what Stefan mentioned. I mean, we have ongoing pricing pressure from our customers, and of course, subsequent volume losses. I mean, that we are clawing back a bit, of course, but clawing back the volume losses is one of my biggest concerns also going forward. And I think that's also, of course, where we actively are working on a day-to-day base. And I think that's also the priority, of course, for the remainder of the year. But that's what I meant. So it's not, there's a lot of things to be proud of, but there are, of course, always things we can do better.
All right, thank you. Bob?
Sure, thanks, Pernilla. I'll tell you, my mother would have loved this question, right? Let's talk about the negatives, or let's talk about the growth areas, not the positive piece. You know, when I ended up taking over this role back in August of 21, I met with my team, and you guys have probably heard this before. They did this study, and they compared the computer chip and how much it's grown to a Volkswagen Bug from 1970. And if you took that Volkswagen Bug and you grew it the same way as a computer chip would grow up until today, it's something like the car could go 200,000 miles an hour. It could do so on like a half a gallon of gas, and it would cost 5 cents. So think about that level of change from a computer electronic piece of it, and as human beings, our ability, or as governments, or as companies, the ability to sort of match that. You can't, right? And a lot of the stress that we're seeing right now in societies and in companies, and even what we're struggling with a company, or as a company, is how do we sort of get ahead of that, or how do we at least get on that wave? And I think that there has been a huge move in the positive direction under Karsten, taking super hard decisions. I left Henkel for a couple of years and I came back. People asked me, you came back, are you happy you did? And I said, yeah, I am. And they say, why? And I say, for 3 reasons. Making hard decisions. When Karsten guaranteed sort of salaries and bonuses at that point, that was when the pandemic was 1 month old. Took a ton of risk, absolutely the right thing to do. Number 2, exiting Russia. Another super hard thing to do, leaving colleagues behind, really taking a hit on our business on that piece of it, but ultimately the right thing to do. And I know we've had a couple of questions about smart work, 60-40 at this point. When we first came out with that, we've remained super consistent with 60-40. There's a ton of other companies that were going to be remote all the time, then they're going to be halfway, now they're fully remote back. So I really think we've got challenges. It's not challenges really of our making, it's because the world's changing so quick. And with good leadership willing to make hard decisions that aren't always going to be the most popular ones, I feel like we're going to be able to ride that wave instead of get swallowed by it.
Thank you. Bob, you managed to talk about our challenges in a very positive way. I kind of like that. But still, you talked about the challenges. It's good. Thank you. Jenny, anything to add?
Thanks, Pernilla. First of all, the question itself is a good piece of feedback. So thank you for the feedback. We've started something good here. So those people who know me well, and especially my ExCom colleagues, know that behind closed doors, I'm always focusing on the negative. I'm a glass half empty kind of person sometimes. And it's because part of my job is reputation management. So I'm always looking around the corner at what could go wrong. And I would sort of want to look at a few key themes. One is what Bob talked about, is the overwhelming pace of change. Not just in the world and in the industries we serve, but here at Henkel too. And if you'll allow me 1 minute to be positive, it's because of that pace of change that changes are happening here too. So we are keeping up with the pace of change, planning for the future and making the adjustments. But we recognize it's hard. We've been through amazing transition and the group has been super resilient. But when you layer on a couple of other things that are also challenging, I mean, the world is caught up in a lot of geopolitical tensions right now. I think something over half the world's population will vote in an election this year. So from a social standpoint, your life in society could be pretty stressful right now. And there's a lot of pressure on companies to do the right things where we can to make a difference in the world. So our exit from Russia was one of those decisions, for example. But know that we as a leadership team and certainly the management board are watching all of those things very carefully so that we can make the right decisions. But they are challenges that keep us all up at night. And then to bring it closer to home for us in North America, Pernilla already acknowledged, we have pretty low awareness of who Henkel is in North America. The stakeholders who know us trust us, and that's good news. And it's mostly because of our products and services. So thanks to all of the teams for the good quality that we have. But when I think about the answer or the antidote to those three things that keep me up at night, I think it's our strong culture. We do get feedback on our culture, and particularly around DEI, that's helpful to show us where we need to improve. But we also get some good feedback that says we're on the right track. We're just never going to be there. It's a journey. But the collaboration and the commitment that our folks are making toward a strong culture, I think, is a very important step toward facing some of those external challenges.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Valeria, anything to add? You're muted.
Another feedback. So just listening to you all, for me, it's showing how well committed we are and everyone is towards this new cultural transformation, and that it's working. Definitely it's working. So thank you for sharing that openly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for answering this question so in such a detailed manner. I thought it was good feedback, as you said, Jenny, to all of us. There's one more question and then we need to wrap up, and I'll take the next question in line. And Valeria, maybe you can help us answer that. Are there any plans for Henkel to revise North America salaries? I noticed new postings are getting paid more than current positions in the same area.
So thank you for the question. We have on a regular basis every year the merit increase, which is happening every April. And apart from that, we have on individual cases, on individual basis, what we call off-cycle increases or promotions, which are coming based on specific analysis. Remember that we have salary ranges or bands, what we use for each one of the levels. So if you have more doubts about it, I would definitely recommend you to go to the second episode of HR Backstage Pass, where you can find more information about how we define and work on salaries.
Thank you very much. And in the interest of time, I'm gonna not take more questions now, but rest assured that we will take all the questions we have not answered and make sure we answer them from previous town halls. We've done podcasts on some of the on some of the topics, clustered them together to answer the questions, but we will find different ways of answering them and be getting back to you. So rest assured that your questions were not asked without being answered. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. I am very happy to see all the questions. It means that that you trust us to answer your questions, which is the first part of a good and trustful culture, which is important for us to collaborate and to essentially go out there as one united team and knock our business out of the ballpark compared to our competitors. So thank you very much for that sign of trust in us asking all of these very good questions. I want to pick up on the question that we took a little bit of time to answer, which was the one around why don't we talk about some of our challenges? And my dear colleagues on the ExCom answered very, very nicely. We do see a lot of challenges. We do have a lot of challenges from the big political, macroeconomic, social things that are happening around us and at increasing pace. So it's like a snowball that continues rolling even faster down the hill, and the challenge of keeping up and making sure we are even at the forefront with some of these. And I want to address that and say that with the team in place, with the culture that we have in this company, I am 100% convinced that we will be able to adjust to these challenges or even be at the forefront of these challenges. And I'll tell you why. I see this company, I see our team as having an extreme amount of knowledge about the markets we're in, the industries we serve, the consumers and the customers we serve. And I also see a lot of trust between our customers, our consumers, and our brands, our products, our services, and not least our teams. And that is, for me, the core of our secret sauce. So our culture and the fact that we have such a strong tie to the people that we serve with our business outside of the company. And when we continue that, we will, together with our customers, figure out how we adapt even faster than the snowball going down the hill and make sure that we stay at the forefront, not only for our own business, our own teams, but also for our customers and their teams. And with that, thank you very much for joining us today, and see you soon.